welcome to my channel. This is going to be a tutorial for the meadow painting that we're going to be doing with the mountain in the background. The first thing that we're going to be doing is get our sky in there. So to do that, we just want to grab a fan brush. And we could use a stiffer bristled one or a softer bristled one, it doesn't much matter. But we're going to load the fan brush right up both sides. Something like that. We can just do this fun little thing across the sky. We're just going to come in like this. Just add these little things off the sides and whatnot. They're all just going to add to the effect of when we blend it here in a sec. And we got our clean brush. So we can just come in and start blending this out. And we don't want to get rid of all the white. We just want to get rid of a lot of these like hard lines and kind of just give some color to the sky area. Pretty much just something like that is fine. And just lightly fan across it, just so we can get rid of any of our brush marks. It's going to give a softer look to the sky and the paint. Oh, we got that area in. We can do the same thing. Get a little bit more titanium white on our 2-inch brush. And we're just going to start lightly sweeping in a little color in here. And what we're focusing on is not so much down and around this area. It's going to be in and around here, and we're just going to kind of fan it into that. You don't want too much titanium white on your brush for this area. Just kind of like dabbing your brush into the titanium white. And you can see those colors that we put on before. They show up really nice with as soon as you start to add that titanium white color. What we just want to do right now is just kind of soften those areas and have a nice little blend in this area. We'll get a little more on our brush for that little weird area. Just holding the brush like this and basically fanning back and forth on it just to get some nice blending in there. Now what we're going to do is kind of leave this area right about there, and we're going to start fanning this over a little bit. And we'll do a little less as we get down here. That's about all we're going to need. We can just lightly soften this area of the paint now. You can basically soften it just by doing these sweeps back and forth. It's okay if you hit the black a little bit. Now that we got that color in there, we're not even going to clean our brush for this part. We're just going to take some of our burnt sienna color, and we're just dabbing our brush into it. And in this dark area, we're just going to start from the edge. Yeah, remember there's some of that purple, the dioxazine purple in here. So it's going to blend with this and make it a lot darker of a color, and you're not going to see the color until we add the titanium white. Now we'll grab a little bit of our titanium white. We're just going to start pulling down in here. Now we have a bit of an area where our land will be. We can just take some of our dark brown, or whatever color of dark brown you got. We're just going to start dabbing a bit of color in around here. Get some of that darker brown in there. Alright, now we're just going to take our palette scraper, and we're going to mix up a little bit of our titanium, our Bland Black, and we're going to take some of our Phthalo Blue. we can take a little bit of our dark brown. And it's like a 1-to-1-to-1 mix. So you just take equal parts of each. The reason that we do this is because we don't want just pure flat black. Right, once you got that mixed up, just take a little bit on the edge of our palette scraper, right on the edge. We can start right in around here. Just start pulling down, doing these little jagged lines. The edge line is the most important part in this step. You just want to make sure you have a really nice clean edge. Have it come down like that. Now we'll do the other side. Same thing, you just want a little bit on the edge. Now we just take a little bit from the edges, clean them up. Once we got that done like that, you can just take a little brush, start up here near the top, and you're just pulling down on an angle. You just want to pull down to this line. You don't want to go much further than that. Once you got it about in this area, you can lightly feather out these edges a bit. We'll just get a little liner brush, start up here in the peak. You just want to kind of carve, not carve, but you're just kind of like sketching in a little line of where this ridge should be. You don't really need to see it because you'll be able to see it when you're doing it. But basically all we're doing is just taking this area and doing these, just like these little squiggly lines coming down. And it helps with knowing where you should maybe do some highlights and whatnot. So now we're done with that black color on our palette scraper. We can clean the little amount that's on there off. We want to take just a tiny amount of our phthalo blue. We'll mix that in with our titanium white, just a bit of it. And then we're going to take the same thing. We'll take some of that titanium white and just whatever's on the tip of our palette knife from mixing up the other blue and white. We're just going to mix that in with the titanium white that we just took. So we should have two shades of blue. One that's really light, it almost looks white. And then the other one that's going to have a dark shade to it. Once you have those colors mixed up, you want to decide which side's going to be your light side. So do you want the light coming in off this side, or do you want it coming in that way? We're going to have the light coming in off this side. And to create that kind of an effect with those little ridge lines that we have, just kind of dab in a bit of color along them. It doesn't have to be perfect, you're just kind of getting the color along that ridge the best you can with the palette scraper right now. Something just like that. And we want to do the same thing on this other ridge. You definitely don't want that big glob of paint there. You're kind of depositing little amounts of paint, but you don't want to leave them big globs. And once you got it like that, you can just take that little amount that was on your knife and just scrape that off. And we'll start here at the peak. You just want to basically lightly touch it. You're just pulling from those ridges. And when you're pulling it, you're pulling this way with that lighter color. Now that you got it like that, now we can take some of our darker color that we have, and we're going to do kind of the same thing. You just want to touch along that ridge line. Right now we're just kind of getting that blue and light color in there, and this is going to add a lot of a shadowy type of effect and like kind of a highlight and shadow effect. And we can just add a few little details on there. I'm just going to pull it like we did the other side, but this time we're pulling the opposite direction. You don't need to overwork the paint, you're just kind of letting it do what it does. You can get these really nice effects. We're just going to pop in a, maybe we'll use a little bit of our dark blue right here in this area. Something like that. And we'll do a little area over here with some a little something going on there. Once you got it to that step, just lightly clean up this bottom area here. You just want to lightly hit across the bottom edge. Now we can get some of that burnt sienna color on our brush, because we're going to really start filling in that dark area over here. Once we get that spread on there, we'll grab some of our titanium white. We'll start up here in the top, just pulling down to that edge. Alright, now that we got that area in there, we're going to take our 1-inch brush. We're going to take some of this green that we have. And you can make this green by taking some sap green and mix it with some lemon yellow and a little bit of yellow orange. You just want to start dabbing in a little bit of color here along just in some areas to create a little bit of grassy land. not using much paint on our brush, we're just dabbing into it, getting a bit on the tips, and then just dabbing it in there. When you're doing this, you're kind of just rocking the brush back and forth, just coming up to that edge, having a little go into that. There's like a dark line there, and it's okay that you just tap into that a little bit. Just adds to the grassy effect. And we're just going to take some of our lemon yellow and get some of that on the brush, and we're going to mix into that green. I'm just going to make it a little bit, we don't want it too much brighter, but just a lighter shade. Yeah, any of those like if there's a little bit too much yellow in an area, you can just dab that into there. Now we're going to take some of that lemon yellow, nice little amount of it, and we'll mix that into our green so we can come up with this really nice light green. And the more lemon yellow you add, the lighter the green will get. Once we got a lighter color, we're just gonna come in along this edge. As we get closer down to the edge here, we're gonna be getting lighter with it. We could even get a little bit lighter around the edge. So that you don't need to add any more green. Just kind of dip into that lemon yellow. You can just blend it up by dabbing into it. Just come right along that edge, light little dabs. You don't need to add too much, just kind of dab in some, use up the rest of the color that's on the brush here. Dab in some areas. I just want to get a clean fan brush. We're going to take a little bit of our black mix that we made, get a little bit on the tip, and we're going to take some of that green that we were using, and we're just going to mix up this really dark green color. Almost is it like a shadow kind of a color, so it should be really dark, like almost like a black color, but with a green hue to it. Once we got that, we come in here. We can do a little tree, get in like that. We're just getting the idea of where we want them right now. It doesn't have to be completely perfect. So something like that should be good. And then with that same brush, just get into some of that dark brown. And same thing, you just might want to add a little bit of that black color to it. Just to darken it up. You want a really dark brown. Just kind of add something in here. have another tree that's just coming in off the bank here. Now that we got those areas in there, just gonna get a liner brush, get some of that dark brown on there, so we can finish off our tree branches. Just getting a few little branch areas in here. Now we got that little area in there with the branches done. Just take some of that dark green that we were using. We're just kind of adding the shadow where this tree is going to be. Oh, we have our little distant shadows in here. You can come in with some of that lighter green color. You don't need to clean the brush. I'm gonna start dabbing in a few little highlight areas. I'm just gonna grab our 1-inch brush. And just start popping in a little bit of you kind of want to think about where the foliage would be on these things when you're tapping in the color. that we got that area in there, we're just going to take some of our yellow orch, just dab right into it, bring it over to that green that you were making, or that you had, or the same one that you were just using anyway. And then you just want to dab your brush into it, and you're kind of just mixing those colors up as you dab around. You got that color mixed up nice. Just want to dab your brush into it. You just want to pop in a few little highlights. You just hit in the top of the canopies when you're doing these little highlights. And now that we got that in there, I'm just going to dip right into that dark green. We can just start dabbing in some bushes. We just dabbed into the black color because there's so much green on here. By the time we're done dabbing, it just mixes. This is like the shadow color for the bush anyways, right? Let's get some of that black on our brush. We'll dip into the green. I'm just gonna add some more shadowy stuff in here. Just have that bush come right down in here. We'll fill in this area. And just get some of that dark color in here. Now that we got that in there, we will take some of our yellow orch mix. And you can use whatever colors you'd like while you're doing these bushes. You just kind of mix up some random colors and we'll just add a little bushes in here. We'll take some of our burnt sienna color. We're just going to add a little bit of our vermilion color. We're just going to give our brush a quick clean. And take a little bit of our sap green. We're just going to mix that in with our yellow orch. And we'll just start grabbing some bushes in here. We could use some of our bright red. We're not cleaning our brush, so it's not going to be too bright, but pretty much just using a whole gamut of colors, create some bushes in here. those areas in there. And just kind of mark in a few little lines and branches. We could do the same thing here, just have some little flick areas. Now we can add a little moon or something up in the sky. To do that, we'll just take some of our titanium white. We're going to mix it with a little bit of our yellow orch. You just want to have a small little brush like this, and you only need to fill up one side, not both. We'll start up here and just press directly on it. You just want to rotate that brush. Something like that. We take our fan brush with a little titanium white and just we'll just take our clean 1-inch brush. We just want to lightly fan across those. And that's pretty much it. If you end up getting a little mark on there like I just did, you can just lightly fan that out. Blend it out and it'll be done. On your painting, I mean, you might do maybe a sun, or maybe do different bushes, or could always add some birds in the background. What we will do, what we call it a painting, is we're just going to take our fan brush and just kind of dab in a little bit of stuff here. Something like that. And really lightly fan those. Now we can take our liner brush, get it loaded up with some titanium white. Or any white color that you have. And once you got your initials on there, that's a painting. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.